How's everyone? You guys came out to let me tell you, this is a very important meeting. Now, I want to back up real quick because I made a mistake. Our opening night, it was that Tuesday for back to school barbecue. If you were new and you came, I forgot to even introduce myself. So just in case you don't know, Mr. Pankey, and I'm the principal here at Bethel Christian Schools, and I just want to say welcome. It's been a crazy first week of school. Hopefully, if you're dropping off your kid or picking him up, that it's getting a lot smoother. So I hope you weren't stuck on Van Buren too long. But other than that, we are excited. This is one of our first meetings that we've had with Officer Stice, or Detective Stice, I should say. He's going to be presenting some very important information in regards to social media and the pitfalls that we maybe don't know about, or your child doesn't know about. And so he's got some great information. So I'll introduce him in just a second. But other than that, I'm going to open us up in prayer, and then I'll kind of give you a little bit of a word about Detective Stice. I'm sorry. So, Father, we just come to you right now. We just thank you for this evening. We thank you for this opportunity that we can come and learn a little bit about what's going on social media-wise. This is a very popular component of many of our children's lives, or even as parents. We want to sometimes know exactly how do we deal with things, what can we do to protect our child, what do we have to look out for in regards to our child, because we love them and we want to make sure that they're safe. And so this is what this meeting is all about. So Holy Spirit, I just ask you to come into this place, bless the speaker, give him all the words that he needs to say that really needs to hit home for our lives. So I give this time to you in Jesus' name, amen. All right. A couple years ago, I had the opportunity. I'm not too sure exactly, Detective Stice. I don't know how we got in connection. I think it might have been through, I don't know if it was through our Parents in Partnership. But April Martinez, she's our PIP president, but she came to me and said, hey, I have this gentleman here that would love to come in, or he can come in and talk to us about social media. And like I said, the dangers of it. And so it's not that it's this evil thing, but we have to protect our child from it. And so that's what he's going to talk about. He's going to give a little bit of background, but he's worked for LAPD for many years of his life. He recently retired, and now he just does this for, charity, or you just do it on your own time, in your spare time, because he wants to share with you his experience and then give it back to you. So without further ado, let's welcome Detective Stice.
Thank you. Can you all hear me all right? Yeah? All right, perfect. So once again, my name's Doug Stice. I retired from LAPD after 27 years, about a year ago now. So it's a new transition for me. I'll kind of get into how I got into this. And it's such a small group tonight, I'm going to do it a little bit different. So it'll be a little bit more intimate. So if you have questions along the way, raise your hand, and I will do my best to answer it. So I'll stop it. If I feel that I'm going to cover the answer later on in the presentation, I'll let you know that I'm going to cover that later. All right? Everybody good? Could I bring down these lights a little bit? Just these right here. I've already been in the sun way too much, and my skin's like, oh my gosh. So when I came here, I did speak to the kids earlier, and they're a pretty lively bunch, and I must say it warmed my heart to see kids back in the classroom again. It really did. And when I pulled up, I actually saw some kids out there throwing a football. Pretty good, I might add. And I'm sure your kids were like mine, all over COVID and online all the time. And you get frustrated, like, what the heck am I going to do with them, right? So let me tell you a little bit here. Once again, a little bit of my background went into that. Most of my time, I'm not a tech guy. I'm not. I was just a dad, and these little rascals right here were my reasons for getting into what I did. In my last 5 years at LAPD, I was assigned to Major Crimes Division, all about the time where my kids were saying, Dad, I want a phone, I want a phone, I want a phone. And I was like, no, you're not getting a phone, ever. Especially when I started to see the kinds of cases that we were handling, and they were good kids, just making dumb decisions online, right? Good kids. And so I started to look for resources for, hey, how could I educate myself on this? Because I'm not a tech guy, right? I'm a bomb guy. I spent most of my career in the bomb squad. So I am computer savvy and stuff, but I really wasn't a technical kind of guy. I was more of on the operational side. So there wasn't any resources for parents. Nothing. So I used your tax dollars and my tax dollars to the best of its ability, and I went to every single law enforcement computer class that I possibly could get my hands on. From FBI to, wherever it was at, I went to it. And I studied and I learned. And I started to share some tips. And then these people, parents, colleagues were like, I didn't know that. So I started Virtual Cyber Cop. It's just volunteer. And I've been doing these for about 3 years now. So that's why I'm here.
People want to go on the internet and check out their friends, so why not build a website that offers that? Friends, pictures, profiles, whatever you can visit, browse around. Maybe it's someone you just met at a party. But I'm not talking about a dating site. I'm talking about taking the entire social experience of college and putting it online.
I can't feel my legs.
I know. I'm totally psyched about this too, but Wardo.
Yeah. It would be exclusive.
You would have to know the people on the site to get past your own page, like getting punched.
Well, that's good.
Wardo, it's like a final club, except we're the president.
I told him I thought it sounded great. It was a great idea. There was nothing to hack. People were going to provide their own pictures, their own information, and people had the ability to invite or not invite their friends to join. See, in a world where social structure was everything, that was the thing.
So who knew that Facebook or social media would change the parenting book forever, right? Who knew? I know I sure didn't. So tonight you're going to get a few different perspectives, one from the cop side, the dad side, and I do love technology. So you're going to get it from all three sides, okay? First thing we're going to do is we're going to start to understand what the threat is out there in the current cases. If this fascinated me when I first looked at it. If you look at, compared to other technology and where we've been, the internet really hasn't been around that long. But look how it's exploded compared to things like, basic electricity, the telephone, right? Here's the surface web. That's what we know. You do a Google search, right? See the size of that? Look at the deep web and then the dark net. Look how small it is compared to the dark web or the dark net. Most people don't know that, right? And here's what's crazy. Our kids are now getting on the dark web or dark net on a regular basis. And parents have no clue about it. If I were to ask people in here, how do you get to the dark web? Would you know how to do it? Probably not. Most parents say no. Cell phone ownership. 2011, there's 35%. As of 2021, the last stat I found, 97% of people have cell phones. Most of them are smartphones. Isn't that crazy? 97%. So how many users are there in the world? 4.66 billion people. Billion with a B, right? So this is a question that somebody asked me one time when I first got into this. Hey, Doug, would you leave your child at home alone with a stranger in a room with a door closed? I was like, of course, the answer was obvious to me. Absolutely not. Absolutely not, right? So why do we do that then? We just said right here, I hit the wrong button, sorry. There's 4.6 billion users that have access to our child. Access to our child if they're on the internet. Yet we leave them alone with devices in their room all the time. So why do we do that? I didn't have an answer. I was like, I don't know. I have no idea, right? So we are the first parenting generation. Before, like my parents, I used to ask my grandparents, hey, how do you do this? How do you do this? Now I get calls from my dad and my mom. Hey, son, how do I attach a photograph to an email? We have nobody to call. Nobody to call, right? So we kind of have to figure it out on ourselves. Generation Z, that's typically what our kids are. Younger, they're moving away from, if you use Facebook, they call us boomers. Only the boomers use Facebook, right? Only the boomers. Here are the most popular apps right now. TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, right? Those are the main ones. Twitter depends on how their age, right? And then online gaming. Pinterest, not so much. LinkedIn, not so much. But TikTok and Snapchat. Here's it actually broken down right here. They stream. Kids don't watch television anymore. They watch Netflix, right? Or they stream everything. YouTube, right? I watch television. I still like to watch television. My kids are like, that's so boring, Dad. What are you doing? So stupid. So, we're going to go over some threats. Here we go. Here's some extreme threats. Cyber predators, stalking, swatting. Does anybody know what swatting is? Ever heard of that term, swatting or doxing? We'll cover it. Extortion. What about virtual kidnapping? Has anybody ever told you about that? No? All right, we'll cover it. Here's the most common threats that kids come across these days. Cyberbullying, inappropriate posts, pictures, personal information they give out to strangers, exposed to maybe adult content that they're not really ready for mentally, right? Or we don't want them to as parents. Malware, phishing scams, and social engineering, and we'll cover some of those. Here's some unknown threats that I call them. Screen time, social media anxiety, some mental health stuff, video game violence and what that does to our kids, right? And addiction. First one I'm going to cover is screen time. We don't really look at this too much, and there's a lot of studies that are coming out on this. And here's screen time by generation. I can't really see that because I'm old. I'm a boomer, and I can't see that anymore. So, so here you go. What do you think? Look at right here. 1997 to, if you're born between 97 and 2012, Gen Z, 7.3 hours is the average amount of screen time the kids are having. 7.3 hours a day. A day.
They can't stop looking at social media.
Their brains have changed.
They become addicted.
And there's something very dangerous about that.
The number one problem, the number one psychiatric disorder among teenagers is anxiety. Typically, it's anxiety about needing to check in with social media.
There's another study that looked at fear of missing out, and it looked at kids who have high anxiety around missing out. Even though social media makes them more anxious, makes them more worried about missing out, they can't stop looking at it. That prefrontal cortex hasn't developed enough for them to be able to put it down, to say to themselves, it's not making me feel good.
The prefrontal cortex, this area of the brain that is involved in our cognitive control, our ability to process and direct our attention based on our goals, is the last part of our brain to develop.
This doesn't get completely myelinated until you're in your mid to late 20s.
So kids are getting these tools right when they have the least capability of actually controlling their behavior.
I think we can confidently say that it's changing the way that teens interact with each other, with peers, with the world, and that those changes in interactions lead to sort of changes in behaviors, changes in psychiatric and sort of mental health.
We should not be surprised. And it's not just because the culture changed. It's because their brains have changed.
They also get trained in instant gratification by these devices. And there's something very dangerous about that, because in real life, we don't get everything that we want instantly.
They are bombarding our teenagers and our young adults with so much that they become addicted to the continuous input of stimulus and information.
We know that there are many activities that are critical for our development. Face-to-face communication, physical activities, exposure to nature, and sleep. I would say that all of these are being threatened in some way by increasing access to information technology.
I think parents are in a really tough situation right now. I think because this tech has negative effects, they have to balance between trying to protect their kids, but also, let's face it, there's tremendous social pressure to use technology. And it's also incredibly important that children are technically literate. And I think there need to be more resources that help them make those decisions. And frankly, the companies need to be partially responsible, largely responsible, for ensuring that the use of these products is responsible.
Was that surprising to anybody? How it's changing our kids' brains, the anxiety level? It wasn't me when I first looked at it. So to cover here's some of the dangers. Dopamine triggers sleep disruption, physical activity, one-on-one interactions, and just learning and focusing. So recommendations, monitoring software. If you don't have any kind of monitoring software installed on your kids' devices, I would highly recommend it. Some of the ones that I recommend are, Custodio was probably the number one that I would recommend. You could control the amount of time that your kid is online, and you could actually see what their text messages are. It depends on what level you want to go. But my point, I'm not here to teach you how to parent, because every child's different, but I would recommend some sort of monitoring software on your kids' devices or on your network. Number 2, cyberbullying. 87% have seen some sort of cyberbullying. 87%, that's pretty high. That's a pretty high number, right? Increase of over 100% since 2007. 34 have actually experienced it. Here's some of the trends that we really started to see, especially it blew out when COVID. Kids create fake Instagram accounts, okay? So you have the main Instagram account that you follow your child, right? As good parents, we do. But what most parents don't understand is they have a friend Instagram account that you don't have access to, okay? And that's the one where they get in trouble with. So we as parents, we're following their Instagram account, right? Hey, my kid's good, my kid's good, my kid's good. I would know. But then most cases that I saw come across my desk, it was the fake account, or it was their friend's account, or the second account. That's the one that got them in trouble. And that's where we see a lot of the cyberbullying stuff. Cyberbullying is very serious. Suicide rate amongst teenagers is tripled over the last 10 years. Tripled. All right? Here's where most kids go wrong on cyberbullying. It starts out as a joke. Okay? Then it just keeps getting stepped up and up and up. Is it against school policy? Absolutely. Could your kid get expelled? Yeah. Suspended? Absolutely. But it goes criminal. A lot of these cases go criminal, right? They go criminal. And that's what a lot of parents don't understand. Number 3, this is probably the biggest one for me. Kids just being stupid online. They don't understand the ramifications of what they do online today affects them for life, okay? Here's one example. They pictured posing with a swastika in, I don't know if you saw this on the news, it was about 2 years ago, it was in Orange County. They were playing a drinking game, they made the red Solo cups out of a swastika. It became international news. International news. Do you think they had any intent of that in the beginning? No.
I vow to bring my father's M15 to school and kill 7 people. He's under arrest currently for making a threat to cause a mass shooting / act of terror.
Cause a mass shooting?
Yes. He made a statement, a written threat to plan or to carry out a mass shooting.
But he's just a little kid playing a video game.
And all these kids keep getting arrested. And that's why the FBI and the local law enforcement is spending so much time. Because how do we know he's not going to be the kid from Parkland? He's not going to be the next kid, the kid that shot up Sandy Hook. We don't know that.
These kids say stuff like that all the time. It is a joke to them. It's a game.
Guess what
wrong.
my time in law enforcement is spent doing? Is arresting these kids for making these statements all the time and for stopping acts too, as well.
Okay.
So that's what our job is to make contact, because these kids think that it's a game or a joke, so they go ahead and make these comments.
But it's just a comment, so how is there an
There's
arrest?
a Florida state statute that says you cannot make a written threat to cause a mass shooting, act, or kill or harm anybody else. Legislature has chosen to
Well, he
do
didn't
that.
cause or
Yeah.
act or do anything, though.
He made the statement too.
It's a written statement. It's a written statement. It's a written threat to kill or to make a mass shooting or act of terror. So if I get on there and say, I pledge ISIS and I'm going to blow everybody up, that's the same charge as, you know what, man, I'm fed up. I'm going to go to school tomorrow and shoot up my school. So he'll be going to DJJ,
What's that?
the juvenile jail. He'll be placed in there for several days. And we're going to go from there. The charge is a felony. It might be a second or third degree. I have to double check, because a written threat to harm somebody is a third degree felony. Second degree is when you involve a mass shooting in a school or an act of
He's a
terrorism.
little boy. He
He's a
didn't do anything wrong. Yes, he's 15, but he's still a little boy, and he's not one of the crazy people out there doing stuff.
Okay, well, he did what he did.
Yeah, but he shouldn't be treated as though he is a terrorist or something because he made a silly statement on a stupid video game.
Well, in the world where schools and kids are going to school to learn, they're getting shot and killed because people...
I understand that, but at the same token, I mean, you have to look at things case by case too. I mean, he's not that person.
Do you own a gun?
I have a gun, yes.
Okay, so he did.
What do you think of that? All right, so this kid was online. He was playing a video game. He was in a video chat room called Discord, and he made the statements in Discord. They were reported from another person in Discord to the police, and unfortunately, in today's world, law enforcement, we have to take everything by the letter of the law. That kid was arrested. The video goes on. They actually turn him around, they handcuff him, they read him his rights. They take him off to juvenile hall. Take him to juvenile hall, 15. Now he's got a criminal record, and it was a felony. Multiple felonies, actually. Predators. I don't know if this thing's going to play or not.
You are so pretty. My bestie is so hot. OMG, your eyes.
This is typically how most predators will act grooming a kid.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, you?
I really like the pic of you and your cat.
Thanks. I'm having a hard time at home.
I know how you feel.
Do your parents suck as bad as mine?
Probably worse.
Totally.
By the way, I think you are really pretty.
Thanks.
You want to hang out after school?
Sure. Where?
Adventure Zone. Meet me
by the arcades. Hi, Janet.
When I was just 13 years old, I was groomed and lured from my home by an internet predator who kidnapped me and held me captive in his basement dungeon, where I was raped and beaten and tortured, chained to the floor by a locking dog collar. I knew he was going to kill me. But thankfully, I was rescued. I'm one of the lucky ones. Law enforcement broke down that door, cut the chain around my neck, set me free, and gave me a second chance at life. Don't ever be afraid to go for help. Go to a trusted adult and go to law enforcement. They are there to protect you and to keep you safe.
It's crazy, right? So, I know we're talking about some serious stuff right now. That's called grooming. Predators groom our kids. Okay? Where do they get the information to groom our kids? Where do they find that in with them? If you notice, hey, how was your cat? How's your cat today? How do they do that? How do they gain their trust? Because that's what they do. Sometimes over, weeks, months, even years. It's because even us as parents, we put our lives online, right? We put it online. We give predators information to get to our kids. And then our kids, on top of that, they're oblivious to it because they're still innocent. They think the world is full of, and I don't want to say it's full of bad people. right? But online, they don't realize the intentions of adults that have criminal intent to prey on victims, okay? Recommendations: your kids' profiles on any kind of social media should always be private. They should never have a public profile, ever. I recommend not even putting their name or their year on their screen, on their profile name. Like, it shouldn't say Brooke 03. Because me, as a predator, I know, okay, now your name's Brooke, and this is approximate age, right? Be somewhat cryptic on what their names are, right? Does anybody not know what a DM is? Sliding into DMs. DM is a direct message, and typically it's used on social media platforms where strangers could slide into DMs, typically for dating, or they're asking for inappropriate stuff, all right? Nobody should be sliding into your kids' DMs, all right? If it's a private profile, it's a lot more difficult. Online gaming. How many in here where your kids are online gaming? Got one? What are they playing? Fortnite still? Fortnite, they grow out of it about age 15, right around there. I don't know the age of your kids. My kids my boy was really into Fortnite. Here's what you're going to find on Fortnite or any kind of online gaming. Your kid's going to want you to go probably to Discord eventually. It's going to say, hey, Mom, Dad, I want to go to Discord so I could talk and get into these gaming chat rooms and find maybe a squad, right, or other players. If you allow that to happen, what your kids are going to be exposed to, not necessarily a predator, but they're going to be exposed to a lot of adult content. And what I mean by that is a lot of foul language, maybe even some pictures and dialogue that you probably don't want your kid exposed to, right? Some other things that happens on Discord, once they get into one chat room, on Discord, once they have access to Discord, there is a whole plethora of chat rooms that they will have access to, from child pornography to narcotics to adult content. It's all on Discord, okay? Chat rooms. So I wouldn't recommend. Online gaming threats. The other threat that comes across is if your kid gets really good at online gaming, it's really competitive and there's a lot of money out there for it. So what they do is they become vengeful and they basically extort your kid. Hey, if you don't lose this game, I'm going to put all your information online and do what's called doxing. Doxing means, okay, your name is Doug Stice, you live in Corona, and your address is there, and they put it up on the dark web, and they say, okay, I want you to send pizza bombs. They call them pizza bombs. So all of a sudden, you're going to get 20 different pizzas show up at your door, right? Or you're going to get maybe a fake 911 call, which is what we call swatting. So now the police show up at your house, right? So what they do is they threaten your kid. Hey, I don't want to see your profile. If you beat me again, I'm going to SWAT your house. We had a case in L.A. It was a swatting. It was probably the most famous swatting. The suspect was in L.A. and he swatted another house, and actually an innocent victim died as a result of it. Police showed up. They reported a kidnapping there, right? Police came out. Hey, they think there's a kidnapping with shots fired and bombs inside. The guy comes outside. They thought he was going for a weapon. They shot him, and the man died. All over swatting. Recommendations. Your kids should never go to a third-party chat room. They should never go to one, all right? And a lot of kids, they want to meet, these gamers become famous. They want to meet them. They want to meet them outside of your house. They should never allow them to meet outside your house. Private profile, and a lot of times these criminals, they get the kids' personal information. And a lot of times it's the parents. Hey, what's your credit card? I want to buy some V-Bucks or, whatever it might be that they're selling on the video games. They give out your credit card information or they give the password to it, then they have access to it. Social engineering. Does anybody know what social engineering is? All right. So social engineering is what we were starting to talk about a little bit, how they get information that's public and they use that to groom your child, right? Or manipulate the situation. Here's a small example of it here. And some of them are really, really good.
Insecten. Alsjeblieft. Ik voel 2 insecten op je rug. Kan dat? Ja, vlinders. Slovenië? Nee. Nee, een motto. Oranje. Pats erop. Zenit. Oui, bien. Je hebt een vriendin. Julie de... Ja. Een boeiend liefdesleven. 3, 4...
De 4e, daar zwijg ik meestal over, dus dat weten niet veel mensen.
Hoe is mijn spierscheur? Maison rouge, balcon, blanc. Ja. Ik zie geld, ik zie transacties, maar kent je rekeningnummer van buiten? Ik denk dat ik het wel weet. Die staat wel negatief op je bankrekening.
Ja?
9, 7. Last month, you spent €200 on alcohol. Vorige maand €300 aan kleding gespendeerd. 8.
Ja.
5. Voor een huis dat van eigenaar gaat veranderen. €295.000. Ja, eigenlijk. 41.
Ja.
Serieus?
Ja, serieus. Oh my god. Oh man. Ah, dat is, ik weet niet hoe eng.
What do you think? It's pretty crazy, right? It's pretty crazy. So that's the type of information that predators will use either to steal your identity or to start grooming your children. Okay?
I was in 6th grade.
We're going to skip that one. Okay, Instagram. We're going to get into some apps right now, and then I'll tell you what my recommendations for some forbidden apps that didn't go over too well today with some of the kids. I said, hey, some parents might come home tonight and say, no, you're no longer having that. So I apologized for them and told them to blame me and not you. So Instagram, it's probably one of the number one accounts that kids use out there right now. And there's so much pressure. I know even when my 17-year-old wants to post something, Dad, should I post this picture? And I'm like, oh my gosh, Brooke, it's not that important. But to them, it's everything, right? And then how many likes they get. That's what it's about. They stalk each other on Instagram and on Snapchat, right? They have these fake accounts. So let's say my girl broke up with her boyfriend. She will go and check on his Snapchat if he's really on there and if he left her on delivered, meaning I know he's on his app, but he didn't open it, so what does that mean, right? He must be ghosting me. That's how these kids' brains are working these days. So much anxiety, and it gets worse as they get older. Here's some cases that we had. Teacher account case. They created a Instagram account in, let's say, Mr. Jones' name, okay? At let's say this school, Mr. Jones. Then they would all take photos of Mr. Jones without him knowing it. Maybe he was sleeping in class. Maybe he had his finger up his nose in class. And they were posting that on this fake account for months and months and months. And then it just got worse and worse and worse, okay? Fake nude photo case. There was a girl that got jealous because she lost her boyfriend to another girl. So what she did is she photoshopped this girl's face, which she took from her Instagram account, onto a nude woman's body and created an account with that. a fake nude account over this girl to get back at her for stealing her girlfriend. It went so viral that the girl was so devastated she had to change schools because she was so embarrassed. And she could never overcome that stigma that she had. Twitter, I'm going to skip. Any of your kids on Twitter? A little bit. Twitter, the main thing that we come across on Twitter is, again, fake accounts, and they'll post stuff. They'll get in trouble with maybe some posting on Twitter. Here's the one I really want to get to. Snapchat is by far the number one app that I'm not a fan of. But unfortunately, it's the number one app that kids communicate with these days, especially when they get in their teenage years. Okay? Does anybody not know what Snapchat is? It's famous for where you could send a picture or a snap, and it will disappear after, let's say, 10 seconds. It's gone, and you can never get it back again. Okay? So a lot of times the boyfriend would be coaxing the girlfriend, hey, I want you to send me an inappropriate photo of yourself. All right? Eventually the girl does, and you could tell if they screenshot it, it'll notify her that, hey, it was captured, right? And it wasn't destroyed. But what a lot of the boys do is they have their buddy, hey, Sarah's going to send me this picture. I'm going to open up the snap. I want you to record it with your phone when I open it. So they record it with their phone. Now Sarah doesn't know that there's this other copy of her inappropriate picture that was supposed to be private. Then little Johnny goes and shares that with all of his buddies. Right? That's what we saw a lot of. Snap Maps shows the location of every single child on their friend group. GPS location. So I'll give you an example. We were at Lake Havasu a week and a half ago. What's the first thing you think my kids did? They pulled up Snap Maps. Oh, Harold's here. Harold's here at Lake Havasu. I go, how do you know that? Snap Maps, Dad. Of course. What happens if a bad person gets access to their password? Now what do they have access to? Okay? Bullying, stalking, extortion, we'll get into it. On this particular case, a middle school boy, this has a little bit of adult content to it. Is that okay for him? Little boy sent, I'll clean it up best I can. Little boy thought he was talking to a girl his age. We'll use Sarah again, right? Sarah sends him a picture of an inappropriate picture that, let's say Doug was like, okay, now she asked him to send one back. He does. Come to find out that Sarah really wasn't Sarah. He was a sexual predator online. Now he has an inappropriate picture of Doug, and now he extorts this little boy. Hey, if you don't send me more photos of you, I'm going to tell the parents. I'm going to tell your parents. I'm going to report you to school. I'm going to post this online. So what do you think the little boy does? Continues to send more photos. Because he's scared, right? He thinks we as parents he's going to get in trouble for doing it the first time. Right? It happens a lot. This was somewhat surprising to me when I first got out of this. Over 50% of high school students stated that they have sexted. 35% of high school students stated that they have sent a nude or partial nude photo. 11% of middle school kids stated they have done the same. 9% of middle school kids have said they've sent the photo. Middle school. It was somewhat shocking to me. Here's what most kids don't understand, and even parents don't understand, and even legislatures don't understand. California, let's say you have a 17-year-old girl and a 17-year-old boy. They send photos of each other. They break up. Parents get upset and find these photos of the boy. They report to the police. Guess what? Possession of child pornography. Felony. Here's some cases where kids were arrested. Boyfriend, girlfriend. The law doesn't distinguish. Now, some states it's catching up. But it's happened. Kids don't know that, right? They're in love, right? Sending photos back and forth. But what happens when that goes south and parents get involved? We don't understand. Hey, no, I just know my kid has these pictures, and now we go into, protect mode, right? How am I going to get those back? Because I know those are going to get circulated. So we go to the police. Now the police hands are tied. It's possession of child pornography. TikTok. It's been the fastest growing app forever. Most people don't know that it was owned and developed by the Chinese government. Everybody know that? It was, and still is, I think. I know Trump was trying to buy it at one point, at least the California side. I'm not sure how that ended up. But USA reported that all personal information of all American users was captured by the Chinese government. So your kid's information is in the Chinese government, who's not an ally of ours. It's not an ally of ours. Believed to be the number one app used by sexual predators right now to date, to find kids. To find kids. It's the number one app. Most of the content on there is adult themed. All right? Has a lot of foul language, has a lot of adult content to it. But yet, a lot of kids are on TikTok. Here's my banned app list. WhatsApp, Kik. Now, there are a few exceptions on this. Omegle, LiveMe, Yubo, Ask.fm, Hot or Not, Wishbone. I used to go through them all, but it gets a little convoluted. Snapchat. I'm not a fan of Snapchat unless your kids are. Depends on how you got to look at the entire picture of your kid, right? You got to look at the entire picture of your kid. Are they responsible? Are they getting good grades? Then I would say okay. Are they open to being you monitoring it? I would say okay. Still not a fan, but I'd say okay. Because we've got to have some balance there, right? As parents in this technology world. TikTok, same thing. WhatsApp. If WhatsApp is used for, let's say, WhatsApp is really good for out-of-the-country stuff or for video stuff. Like Mexico, I have a foreign exchange student that lived with us for a couple years. We use WhatsApp all day long. If that's the case, absolutely use it. If it is your kid's number one text, chat group for strangers or his friends, no. Shut it down. Shut it down. YouTube. You have any younger kids in here that watch YouTube? Yeah? All right. YouTube is big for scams. Clicking links, right? They want you to click these ads. What happens with those a lot of times is it's malware. It's a phishing expedition where they'll infect your computer, steal your passwords. That's the main thing with YouTube. There was one case where they cut. I have a video.
Remember, kids.
This was inside a kid's YouTube. You guys hear about this, where he was encouraging suicide? This was inside, and this is what he does. This is inside I want to say it was a Disney video. So it's playing, everything's fine. This is cut in the middle of it, and he's actually showing kids and encouraging kids to commit suicide.
Remember, kids. Sideways for attention, long ways for results. End it.
He says end it at the end there. Now that became very public, and YouTube changed their algorithm. They did a bunch of stuff to correct it, and I honestly think they did a pretty good job of it, from what I could tell. So if you have YouTube and little ones, make sure they use YouTube for kids. The algorithm on that is really good. All right? Don't let them use the adult YouTube. Turn off the autoplay feature and only go with known videos, content or URLs of people that you know. So if it's, whoever their favorite YouTubers are, if you've already reviewed it once, I would feel confident telling you, go ahead and let your child do that. All right? Online gaming, we've already talked about this a lot. Okay, recommendations for online gaming. Disable the online chat. Disable the online chat. Okay? Secure your online account. That means make sure your email's secure, make sure your credit card's secure. Those are the things that typically get stolen from online gaming. Your gamer name, as I said with your other social media profiles, make sure it's a nondescript name. Nondescript name, all right? Shouldn't have your kid's name in it, shouldn't have their date of birth or year, any of that. Educate. Make sure you talk to your kids, because kids, they get involved in the game, they're all hyped up, and they just want to get on to the next phase. Hey, whatever you need, I'll give it to you, because I just want to get that, download or whatever it is. My kid's a big FIFA kid, He wants to get the next pack, Parents ask questions. Actually watch your child. Watch your child online game. You'll be surprised. You'll see the little chat room box if it's on or off in the corner. You'll be surprised what you can find out if you're watching your kid game. Twitch. Does anybody know what Twitch is? Anybody asked you for Twitch yet? What Twitch is it allows kids, when they're playing a video game, it streams it online to a platform that other people could use. Here's what we've seen with Twitch. Is kids, let's say I'm online gaming, if I'm doing it live with a camera versus just video screening, sometimes there's some personal information in the background that you might not want the world to see, right? So make sure if you do allow Twitch, just have them do a video stream of just their screen capture. That's it. I'm a little bit biased on this one, all right? So there is going to be a video on this, and I'm just here to tell you to be mindful of this. And I'm going to give you the information, then you guys come up with your own decision, right, as parents on this.
They can't stop looking at social media.
Their brains have changed.
They become
Oh, it's playing.
addicted.
Oh, it's got 2 videos in there, so that's not going to work. So
They can't stop looking at social media.
Their brains have changed.
Different
They
results
become
depending on where you.
Okay, so basically what that video says is it goes into, there's a movie called The Social Dilemma. Are you familiar with it? And it talks about in detail how if we have 2 sets of information, right? Let's say I live here, you live here. Depending on what we like and what our search habits are, it will feed our, let's say, Facebook page that information. It manipulates our minds to just give us certain content that it knows we want to see. So we did a little test at our family where, let's say your kid's on TikTok or Instagram. If they like a certain video, Instagram uses an algorithm to now feed you all kinds of similar information. Right? Feed you similar information. So one rule that I had with our children was, hey, you could have Instagram, but I want you to have to follow these people. You follow A, B, C, D, and E. That were somewhat in line with our family's, moral beliefs. So then, now their feed is populated with similar content. And if you want to see what your kid has been looking at on TikTok or Instagram, look at their feed. The types of videos that they're getting on their feed will tell you what their internet search has been. It'll tell them what videos they've been watching or spending more time on. It will tell you. That's why I call it brainwashing. So just be mindful of it. Brainwashing might be a little bit harsh, but just be mindful of it, okay? Extra credit. This case came across where a mom walked in on her daughter. She was underneath the covers. She had a cell phone out. She was FaceTiming somebody. The daughter says, hey, Sarah, who are you FaceTiming? It was like 1 a.m. Lisa. FaceTiming Lisa. Okay. Mom's half asleep, went back to bed that night. Tells Dad happened to be an ex-cop. Like, there's no way she was FaceTiming Lisa at 1 a.m. No way. He checks the phone. Sure enough, it was Lisa. Shows Lisa at 1:03. Well, Lisa in their child's contact list was really Brad. Because kids are smart, right? They know, hey, mom and dad's going to get a little upset if I'm talking to Lisa at 1 a.m, right? I mean, talking to Brad at 1 a.m. So you just change the contact, right? AirPods as a listening device. We had a case where, AirPods, they left it on the teacher's, on the student's desk, left the AirPod on there. They were outside. It's Bluetooth. So it's actually an open mic. So then the teacher was then talking bad about the students after the kids left, not knowing that there was an AirPod in there as a listening device. Burner phones. Does everybody know what a burner phone is? We upgrade these phones all the time, right? What happens to your old phone? We've had a lot of cases where kids, they use the old phone, and parents think that the phone, we don't have cell service on it, so it can't be used. Because most parents don't understand, all you need is Wi-Fi. You just go to Starbucks, and you could dial out, right? Does anybody have Life 360? Anybody have that, or any kind of monitoring device? So what happens if I take an old burner phone, I download Life 360 on it, and I put that burner phone, I connect it to a Starbucks at the mall, right? And I put that phone in the bushes. And then I shut off my real phone, Life 360. What's it going to say? Where am I? My phone is at the mall. My phone is at the mall. Where do you think your kid's at? At the mall. Right? I'm telling you things because there have been real life cases that have happened this way, where the parents are overly confident. Hey, I have Life 360 on my kid. I know where my kid's at all the time. Well, no, you don't. Go home tonight, and I want you to Google Life 360 hacks. It'll tell you 6 different ways how to get out of Life 360. That doesn't come across our brain, but a brain of a child that wants to get around that from their parents, it does. And they do it. 4-channel, 8-channel, Reddit. These are chat rooms, very popular chat rooms. There's nothing good that comes out of them for kids. Not unless they're actually doing a real science project, and they really are doing a science project, and they want some information or some additional intelligence on it. Otherwise, they should not be on it. There's just no reason for it. Video, hidden vaults, photos. Are you guys familiar with any kind of hidden vaults? You heard of that before? Here's the most popular one. It's called Calculator Plus or a Secret Vault. It's a calculator that you download onto your phone. It's free. So what happens is it's an actually functioning calculator, okay? But if you put in a code, and it's typically like 1 + 1 = 2, you set that. As soon as you do that, it opens up a file, a hidden file, and that's where a lot of kids store all of the information that they don't want you to see, mainly pictures. It's called a Secret Vault, or a calculator app is the main one that's used. Also, Snapchat has one. Within Snapchat, it's called For Your Eyes Only. If you don't know that, it's in there. Recommendations. All right, should you check your child's phone? As a parent, what do you think? Yes? No? It doesn't go over well. I know in my house it doesn't go over well. Especially as they get older, it doesn't go over well. But everybody always asks me this question, Doug, should I check my kid's phone? 100% you should check your kid's phone. You should. Is it a bad feeling? Yes. Should you do it at night when they're asleep? I don't know. That's up to you and your relationship with your child. Right? It's up to you. I think you should. And you should be upfront about it, in my personal opinion. Hey, just letting you know that I'm checking your phone, not because I don't trust you, because I don't trust other people. Do they buy that? No, they don't buy that. They take it as we don't trust them. But sometimes It's just our job to protect them. Okay. Here's some things that I want you to take away, some recommendations that I have. If you don't know what a VPN is, or a virtual private network, I think you should use it. What it does is that it masks your IP address, it masks some of your searches. It will help with that brainwashing and pinning down your IP address and where you live and what you're doing online. Is it foolproof? No, it's not. Absolutely not. Change your network password. When you get a router, it comes with an admin password, and typically it's called, if you know where it says available networks, it'll say Netgear 5G. Most people don't change that. So if you just go you Google Netgear 5G, and that's the name of your Wi-Fi, I could get your network password, because they're standard passwords generally. So my recommendation is to change that. Network monitoring software, we already talked about that. I think every house should have that, not only for your kids, but it'll tell you if somebody else joins. If Sarah comes over and she automatically joins your network, it'll tell you. You'll get a message on your phone. Unknown device joined your whatever it is, right? Password manager, I think, is an absolute must. Does anybody use a password manager in here? All right, if you do anything this year, you need to use a password manager, because you're all horrible with your passwords. Even when you change it, it's very similar. I could probably go onto the dark web right now and get 50% of your passwords with one search. 50%. And what I want you to think of, in our day, would you give out your Social Security number? Okay, I'm telling you right now, your email and your phone number is the new Social Security number. Everything is linked to your email and your phone number, because we don't change our phone number, right? It's too much of a pain to change our phone number. But everything is linked to your phone number and your email address. So just change your mindset a little bit and look at it as, hey, that's a Social Security number. Digital house rules. You have to have rules in your house, and you have to abide by them, okay? Time limits, off limits. One family did a Sunday digital detox day where the entire family put their phones in a basket for a day. Sunday, right? Day of worship, day of family time. We gotten away from that. Have you ever tried to go without your phone for a day? My phone was down for 4 days, and I'm the guy up here preaching about getting rid of your phone, and I was lost. But it really, I'll be honest, it didn't affect me as much as it affected other people. Especially my mom. My mom's like, Doug, why didn't you answer your phone? More people were upset at me because I didn't answer than I was. I was like, yeah, it's kind of nice, actually. So, no deleting text messages. They should not be able to delete anything on their phone. Ever. They should not be able to clear their history. No deletion. When you go through the phone, you should be able to look at that. If they have done it, if they have deleted it, then they're hiding something from you. Okay? Technology location. Life 360, I think, is a must. Parental settings. Make sure you get the parental settings. Just Google what it is. Android. They'll walk you right through it. There's like 16,000 videos how to set up parental settings. You got to be the parent. Most cases that came across our desk, the parent was not involved in their kid's life. They were not involved in their kid's life. And it's hard to stay involved in your kid's life when they're always on their phone. And if you don't understand it, right? You can't relate to it. It's hard. You got to figure out a way to relate, right? You got to figure out a way. Be patient. Whenever the newest app comes out or newest online game comes out, don't allow your kid to have it. Do not allow your kid to have it, because that is the number one target that thieves or criminals go after. Number one. And like the video said on the mental health side, kids are so used to having instant gratification. Make your kid wait. I don't care if little Johnny has all this stuff. I don't care. Make him wait, or her wait, I should say. If you don't like Snapchat, then don't allow it. Are they going to get pressure? Absolutely. Okay. Talk to your kids about some of the things that we talked about tonight. They have to know what the scams are, right? They have to know what it is. There's one thing, the last thing I want to cover is called virtual kidnapping. And what virtual kidnapping is imagine, what's your name, ma'am? Robin? How old is your child? 12 and 15? And what is your 12-year-old's name? Taryn? Tanner. Okay, so you get a phone call on your phone. It's from Tanner's phone. Does he have a phone? Okay, you recognize it as Tanner's phone. And here's what you hear on the other line. I have Tanner. I've kidnapped Tanner. You see his phone number. It's Tanner's phone number. I have Tanner right now. I have eyes on your house. This is where you live. You live at 123 Walk. You drive this car. And this is where you work. We have eyes on you. Right now, I want you to go to the bank right now, and I want you to get $500 or whatever it is and drop it off at this street. If you call the police, if you go to the police, I'm going to kill Tanner. Click. What do you do? What do you do? Right? It's called virtual kidnapping. Sometimes they actually have Tanner's voice or some screaming in the background, crying in the background, right? They have that in there. They're really good. So, if you have Life 360, how do they get that information, first of all? Social media or public information. They have all that, right? Simple search. They have all that. So, if you have Life 360, what could you do? You could punch up Life 360 straight away, right? No, you don't have Tanner, because Tanner's, at least his phone's at school, right? And you're telling me you're calling from Tanner's phone, okay? So what they do is they spoof that phone number. You could download one app, and I could type in a phone number, and I could call you, and I could show from this app, this is the number I want to display on your phone, okay? Another way to combat it, and I would like everybody to do this. I would like everybody to do this when they get home. And it recently worked for me, is every child or every family should have a safe word or safe phrase. Okay? And I'll give you an example of ours. We had a dog named Brutus. He was our family's favorite dog, and he passed away several years ago. So our question is, if my 17-year-old's at a party, and she's around drugs, let's say, or alcohol, and she's uncomfortable, and she wants a way out, she will text me, Dad, is Brutus okay? I know Brutus is dead, right? I know he's dead. So that means, no, he's not. Hun, he's at the hospital. I think you should come see him because I don't think he's going to make it, and I'm going to come get you. Where are you? It gives her a safe way to get out, right? Gives her a safe way to get out. My kid, my boy, this was 3 weeks ago. They go to Woodcrest Christian. He's new student there. He has a new group of kids. We don't really know the families all that well. One of the dads asked to take him to a church camp up in Big Bear. Okay, go ahead. So he's there for a week. I text him at 11 o'clock at night because I haven't heard from him saying good night. Zach, and I look at my Life 360, it shows he's moving, right? Because Life 360 is not 100% accurate. I'm like, okay, he's at Big Bear, but he's moving. That's weird. Zach, you okay? Haven't heard from you. Crickets. My stress level goes up a little bit, right? Then I get a text message, hi, Dad, I'm okay. I can't talk right now. For me to get a full sentence from my kid is 100% abnormal. 100% abnormal. I get a one word or an emoji. So I'm like, that is really weird to me now, right? Zach, I need you to step out and call me. Dad, I can't talk right now. The leader's in the room. What? Why is there a church leader in your room at 11 o'clock at night? Right? What's our password, son? Is Pepper okay? All right, I can go to sleep now. I call him the next day, and it really was, he had all these boys in the room, and he didn't want to feel bad for calling his daddy late at night, right? Was there a church leader in there? Yeah, but was that the real reason? No. He didn't want to have to step out of the room to call his mommy or his daddy at 11 o'clock at night as a 14-year-old boy in front of all of his new friends. But it really worked out for me. It gave me a lot of peace of mind, and I was actually able to go to sleep. All right, I know my kid's okay. So I recommend it. I do have a newsletter. My website is virtualcybercop.com. If you go on there, just put in your first name, your email address, and you'll get a. I used to do it weekly. I'm not so good at it anymore. I do it every 2 weeks typically now. Everybody's asked me if I've written a book. I just did it during COVID, where I put just a bunch of old cases that we've come across over the last year. I put it into a book. It's not available yet, but it will be. I do have a Facebook page that I'm going to do active again, and that's it. I don't do it for money or anything like that, and this is my email address. It's doug@virtualcybercop.com. If you ever come across anything where you have a question about, just email me. I'm pretty good about getting back to you within a day or two, and I'll give you my best advice on my recommendations. It's no charge or anything like that. And if you know anybody that wants me to come out and speak to their group or church or school or whatever, I'm more than willing to do that. I just do it because it's my way of giving back, I guess, because I saw a lot of kids and parents where their lives were just absolutely devastated over stuff that could have been prevented. So if you're early on this journey, it gets worse. I'm just letting you know it gets worse. I'm not here to sugarcoat it. It gets worse. It really does. And that's all I have. So does anybody have any questions or anything for me? All right. Thank you for coming out. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doug.
Yeah, my pleasure.
One of the biggest takeaways when I heard him a couple years ago, it might have been 3 years, I don't know how many years ago, but is that detox. I think my wife, Mrs. Pankey, she works here too, and there was a time where we took our daughter's phone away, actually even our son's too. It took a while, maybe like 2 or 3 days of us actually keeping the phone, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, my daughter's back. She was loving, and she was kind, and it wasn't manipulative either. It was just like she just totally changed. It was like a 2 or 3 day period, but it's really true. I mean, we've raised 3 kids now. One of my last one's a senior. She's going to be graduating this year. But it was amazing to see how just taking her phone away for a few days changed her. And then we would give it back, and then over time, she'd go back, and then we'd have to take it back again. But I just want to say again, thank you so much. I hope everyone got some really valuable information. And can we just give one more applause to Doug? If you do have any questions, I know last time he stuck around just for a little bit of time. So I mean, if you're like, well, I do have a question, I'm gonna come up and ask him in a private setting. That's fine. But I'm gonna pray us out. Father, just thank you for this time again. Bless us as we go home this evening. Protect us, and just thank you that we have a great evening, and then that we'll be all back tomorrow for school. All right. In Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.